Hey guys, so today I have for you a very special custom set, and this is to celebrate me getting 1,000 followers on Instagram, and I guess it's also kind of a 600 subscriber special because they both happened in the same night. So I really want to thank you guys for that. Huge thank you. It's amazing, both of them, such big numbers of people, and it's just insane to think about it. So a huge thank you to all of you, and here is a special custom set. So before I show you it, we'll start with the minifigures, but in case you don't know what Sid's Parlour is, it's from the Bad Batch. It appeared in multiple episodes of that show, and just to give you a rundown, I'll give you the brief blurb that Wikipedia has, but it just says, Sid's Parlour was a bar and gambling den operated by the Trandoshan female Sid in Ord Mantell City on Ord Mantell. She provided services such as an information broker out of the establishment, assisting the Jedi during the Clone Wars and later the Bad Batch during the Imperial era. A variety of games, including slot machines and Deseric, were available there. So it's basically just a bar with some gambling machines and stuff, and the Bad Batch go there in the show quite a lot, and it's basically like their second home. If you've seen the show, then you'll know it, but we're just going to go into the figures. I might give you a brief rundown of each of the characters, but we're going to start with them, of course, and then we're going to move on to the build, and you can see some of the reference just then. So I'd recommend looking up some reference too. I'll try put a few little bits in, just as some reference when I show you the individual parts, and hopefully it looks quite accurate. So yeah, let's start off. There are 5 figures in the set, and let's start off with the most obvious one being Sid. Now, of course, Sid is the owner of the Parlour, and I just talked about her a lot there, but she is a Trandoshan, of course, so I really wanted to use the Bosk head mold, but sadly Mecabricks did not have it. It's a good time to say that I did all this in Mecabricks, a huge thanks to them, but I could not use that Trandoshan head mold, so that's pretty sad. So I just had to I decided to go for printing on a face, and then using the Black Panther kind of ear attachment, similar to the Darth Maul one. And I think that that looks decent, obviously not as good. I think that if LEGO were to make it, they definitely need to do a new mold, but I was personally stuck with this one. And I think it looks fine. The face print doesn't exactly look like Sid. I did one before, but it didn't look like a minifigure, so I decided to go for the one that looks more like a figure, I guess. And yeah, this is, of course, if I haven't said already, my first custom set with custom printing, so there is a custom printed torso and legs, as well as, of course, the face. It does also have dual molded arms and dual molded legs, but the printing on them is pretty simple. For the legs, I couldn't really find anything, any images of the feet, so I found like one image, and it was kind of a 3D render, so I decided to use that as kind of my reference. So they kind of just got those toes there, and then dual molded things there. So otherwise, on the torso, it's kind of that U-neck, I guess, and then there's the necklace with all the beads. In the reference material there, it doesn't have it, but she does wear it for the majority of her appearances, and it's quite iconic to her. Originally, I didn't have it in, but I decided just to add it, just because otherwise it didn't really look like Sid. Her accessory is also a staff that she uses a few times in the show, and overall, this is probably the figure I'm least kind of happy with, just because it's hard to do the head mold and, well, the head print now. So overall, I guess I am happy with what I had to do, but I definitely think that it needed a new mold. Now, the next figure I included is Omega, or Omega, whatever you want to say, but this one I am actually pretty happy with. The only printed element is the torso, because I think it's the only one it needs. I also gave her dual molded legs and a skirt piece. Her arms are dual molded, just because I think that's quite necessary for the character, and for the headpiece I've given her, it's quite a common one, but most notably from NJ from some Spider-Man sets, and I also gave her the darker skin tone. It doesn't really match the character in show, but it matches with the other clone troopers quite well from LEGO Star Wars sets, so I definitely wanted to include that. And the hairpiece, I'm not exactly sure what it's from, but I think it suits kind of her hairstyle from most of the show, not the first episode, but from the rest of the show after episode 2, I guess, quite well. For her accessory, I just gave her bow. I think it was quite obvious. Omega is a new member of the Bad Batch, and she's, yeah, a pretty cool character. The youngest member, of course, or technically the oldest, spoilers. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this figure turned out. but the next one is the one that I am the most happy with, surprisingly. And this is the figure of Roland Durand. Now, he took over Sid's Parlour for one episode, which is a lot of people's least favourite episode of the show. He also has a angry expression. This face print is actually from Grand Admiral Thrawn, and in the olive green colour it actually works surprisingly well to capture that facial expression, and I don't know why I thought I'd use it, and it works really well, so I'm really happy with how that turned out. The horn piece is actually the Devil Boy piece, not the Deveronian one for Star Wars. This is also set before he got his horn chopped off at the end of episode 13, so I think the horn piece does work, as it's pretty basically just a devil one. He also has a printed torso and some dual modded legs. The legs I'm not too sure about, you only get to see them really in one shot, and I decided to have them as dark brown and gold. You can see on his torso he also comes with that orange patch, and I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Overall, I'm really happy with this figure. I don't know why. I'm just really surprised at how well the headpiece turned out using Thrawn's for him. It's another, I guess, accessory for Roland. I just included Ruby the Lizard, just because I think she's a pretty important part of episode 13, and she also appeared in episode 7. I just wanted to include her in the set, and I just gave her the chameleon mold and just put it in sand green. There was already a print with that kind of turquoise thing, so I just thought, yeah, why not? Doesn't really need a unique mold, but I thought this served fine as just, I guess, kind of an Easter egg for the set. The next figure is Ketch, just a kind of Parlour, I don't know, regular guest for Sid's Parlour, and I know he's probably the most boring figure. Like, all he is really a torso, some legs, and a head. I think it turned out quite well. I just used another weak-way head, I think it's fine, and the torso is custom printed, plus the legs are just dual molded, though the colour of his shorts doesn't really work with the colour of his skin, because now it kind of looks like he's naked in that area, but whatever, I'm sure it's fine. I decided to go for the dark tan just because I think it's more accurate, though the original head was in a nougat colour. And obviously you can't have Ketch without having his trusty sidekick Bolo, the Ithorian. Now sadly Mecabricks does not have the Ithorian mould, so I had to brick build it, but I think it benefits in a way which is making kind of the voice translator more accurate, because otherwise it would be basically impossible to make, and it would be kind of inaccurate with the hood. And I'm pretty happy with making a brick built Ithorian head, and it looks pretty good for being brick built, I think. It is very big, but I think again it's fine. The Ithorians are meant to be big, so I am pretty happy with how it turned out. Torso print is very basic, it's just a Royal Guard one recoloured, and he also has dual molded legs and just some normal arms. Overall a pretty cool figure, and if they were to make it, hopefully they'd make a unique mould with, I guess, the voice translator or voice vocoder or whatever you want to call it. And here is a group shot of all the figures. Overall I'm pretty happy with how these turned out for my first time doing some custom printing, and hopefully they get better over time. So yeah, overall very happy with how these turned out. Let me know down below. They could be a bit better in some ways, but I am pretty happy. Now we're going to move away from the figures and move on to the main attraction, the build. So without further ado, here it is. Sid is designed to be an 18+ display piece, and you could definitely recreate a lot of scenes having some fun playability. However, the design this build is mostly inspired by the LEGO Friends Central Perk set, and I guess the other sitcom sets like the Seinfeld set, and more recently the Friends apartment set. I just wanted to do a set in that kind of vein, and when I wanted to do a Sid's Parlour, I thought it was a perfect opportunity. So this is kind of split into 3 sections. There's the main section there with the bar and the gambling area. That's kind of the open space you see in the show. There's also a small area outside, and of course Sid's office. This set includes 732 pieces, which is kind of surprisingly a bit little. I was expecting at least 1,000, but yeah, it's definitely there, and if this were to retail as an official LEGO set, I'd say it would be around $80 US. So now we'll go through the individual sections and look at them in more detail. So first up is the little area outside, and I decided to put the Sid sign in there. You can see it in the show. It's a bit higher up, as high as just to lower it, and you can also see that sign above the door. There's also a printed bit on the side of graffiti, and on it in Arabic it says LEGO, and there's also a bit of a cross through a shape which looks like Sid's head, and underneath it says Sid sucks. And that's written in sand green, and then just as kind of an Easter egg I added in a kind of sand greens kind of paint can, spray paint can, and you can see in this image that Ketch is holding it. Also kind of the ground area, which is in a dark tan, and there's some stairs going up into the parlour, and there's also just some like glass bottles lying around. I guess Ketch has been drinking a lot, and yeah, I guess Sid's kind of caught him here, and she's got her stick out, so you can make of that what you will. Ruby's also outside there, and there's also a bit of kind of rubbish kind of lying around on that sand green ground area. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, and the Sid sign is honestly my favourite print, and I don't know why, but I'm just really happy with it. You can also see on the other side of that sign, there's also a clip in there where you can place Sid's stuff, I guess, if you really want to, just to get it out of the way. And you can also see Omega there, and she's got her alternate expression, which is just from that figure. So just kind of a short little scene there, and I guess there's some things to play around with. Also, the back doesn't look that bad, there's not like bad colours or anything, so if you really wanted to, the back is fine to display. But obviously, you'd try and display it from the front. You can also see there is a slight turn for the stairs in the open area. You can also see it on the inside here. And yeah, this is kind of just when you come in, there's some crates and stuff by the door, there's two lights there. And you walk in and there's the two gambling machines there. Those are both different prints there. Pretty basic. One of them says win in Arabic, and the other is just some random symbols. Kind of like a get all these things and you win. Of course, with the machines, there's also some seats there. There's also a holochess table when you come in, and that's kind of based on in episode 10 when Omega is beating everyone at Digeric, and when the Bad Batch comes back, she's kind of on a table by the front, so that's meant to be that. And there's also kind of a longer table of some other game that Bolo was playing there. So I'm overall pretty happy with how this turned out. You may also see there the bar area, but for more detail, here it is. You can fit a figure in the bar area, though it's a very tight squeeze. It's only like one stud wide, so I wouldn't really recommend it. Plus, you don't really see anyone there in the show. And yeah, I've also got the IG droid heads as dispensers up there, and a range of different drinks and stuff behind Sid. And there's just kind of Ketch there in a chair. There's also a handrail piece there, just kind of going along. And finally in front there's another holochess table and a seat there, and this is just meant to represent where Captain Rex kind of first shows up in Sid's parlour. And finally, the final room here is of course Sid's office, a pretty iconic location full of lots of Easter eggs in the show, and that's no different here. You can see the Mandalorian helmet, the white one there, as well as the Clone Pilot helmet, which in the show is Phase 2, but I've just gone for a Phase 1 one here, and that would kind of please a lot of people who were disappointed by the gunship figs, I guess. And also a Phase 2 Clone Trooper helmet, and this would also benefit a lot of people who want a figure with that. And you can see up there, up the top, there's also the two flags. Sadly, I couldn't print on those pieces for some reason. Mecabricks wouldn't let me. And then there's also Django's blasters there, which I've put in a gunmetal. In most of the sets, they're just in a light grey, but I gave them kind of a shine just to be more accurate. There's also that table there in the middle of the room where she shows the Bad Batch Fennec Shand. And then you can see on her desk there's also that horn, as well as a bottle and a few other things from the show. And then on her chair there's also that kind of Wookiee pelt thing. So overall, Sid can sit in her seat, so that's cool. But overall, I'm very happy with this room, and I'm pretty happy with how the whole set came out, actually. Of the whole set, here it is in one of those shots that LEGO always does. You can see all the figures there, all the extra accessories. There are some more drinks and stuff that you could technically move around if you wanted to. You can see all the figures, Ruby, some more drinks, that spray can, lots of stuff. And yeah, you can kind of see the whole build. You can also see that tilt near the top of the entrance there a bit better. And you can also see up the top, near the walls, there's one layer of, I guess, transparent red. And then in Sid's office it's transparent blue. Just because I kind of wanted to do that light, and I was looking at some reference and stuff, and the roof is kind of red and kind of trans red lights. So I just gave that contrast and kind of represented it there, because I didn't really want to add a whole roof layer, of course, because then it would darken the entire model. Speaking of which, this entire model, obviously it's not the most accurate in terms of layout, just because obviously in the show it's a full building, so it's not all like this. But basically, apart from the arcade machines and some of the seats, it's all pretty accurate. Like, it's all in the right places. Surprisingly, so I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And yeah, I think overall, some pretty accurate features on this, if I do say so myself. And finally, here's the box art. You can see it's an 18 plus set, and it's also kind of a new oriented style. It's kind of longer. Like, we've never really seen an 18 plus style set at $80 like this. You can see at the side there's also just kind of the entrance area, and you can see also the logo there for Sid's Parlour, like they always do for UCS sets and stuff. You may have seen it before earlier in the video, but overall I'm pretty happy with this box art. It's quite cool. I think it's only my second proper 18 plus one really. I did a Book of Boba Fett kind of layout like the Darth Vader's transformation set, but other than that I've never really done an 18 plus set. So this is kind of a cool, it's a cool start. I think this is a great start for some custom printing and some more 18 plus sets, so hopefully in the future I do more stuff like that. And so here it is. That has been Sid's Parlour. I spent a week working on that a while ago, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. Hopefully you are too. Let me know your thoughts down below. Would you get this if it's a real LEGO set, and do you think I've done a good job with it? Also, any suggestions for other custom sets, leave them down below. So I do hope you've enjoyed. Again, thank you so much for 1,000 followers on Instagram, as well as 600 subscribers. Great achievements, and I really appreciate it from every single one of you guys. However, that has been all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. That'll be all, folks. Goodbye.